Well, first of all, you're going to forgive me if I get emotional because
You're strange.
there was 3 things that changed my mind on that strategy.
Well, you saw the episode last night and you...
I haven't watched the show.
I don't know how to react to that.
Why would you not watch? Oh my God.
Let's
While I was out there, I had the most intense connection with God and nature out there because I was so angry. I was so mad.
It takes a lot of courage to follow your intuition too.
I had crowds coming in.
Welcome to the wild.
Hello, Jodi. How's it going?
Hi, Kat. How are you? So good to see you.
It's good to see you too. And I'm glad you're able to meet here and talk, a little bit about your alone experience.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I really appreciate you for doing this. I think it's a neat thing that you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you do it for all of the cast members.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, to have this conversation. It's very weird to say like I'm doing an interview because we were together in the same, but like we're peers, like we are.
Yeah. But I think it's easier to talk to you than it would to be a stranger anyway.
I see.
And you've gone through the same experience, so you can relate and you know more of what to ask than somebody that's never been there. So I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's kind of a different kind of interview conversation because we sort of have this shared reality, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
By the way, do you see I'm kind of Bob Ross right now?
Bob Ross, but no, I think Bob Ross doesn't sing, does he? I was gonna say you make a better Bob Ross because you sing.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. It's funny because his hair is slightly different, but a lot of people Bob Ross me. A lot of people Bob Ross me, but it's fun. I have fun with that. But our personality is quite different, I think. The background here.
Yeah. Did you get Bob Ross before the show, or is that just something that?
A little bit. But when people get to know me, they kind of forget about Bob Ross because because our personality.
Yeah, Jazz is unforgettable. You're unforgettable. So
okay, so you can see the background here. We're all here, season 10.
There's the guys. Yeah, I miss everybody, man. We got close.
Yes,
we all got close. It was cool.
Yeah. So where are you now?
I'm at home in Wyoming right now. I've been up in the mountains most of the summer, but I've been coming in and out. I'm checking on my parents a lot and checking on my home and house and everything. But today I'm home. So
nice. That was great. So that we can talk now. I actually put this background because I am on a music camp. If you hear any music, it's because people are in different rooms here and they're like practicing music. It's a Brazilian music camp in Western Mass. But I'm gonna change the back. I'm gonna change the background here. So I'm gonna un-Bob Ross me. I'm gonna change to. There we go. Okay. I'm a little more Afro now. Less Bob Ross.
Yeah, your hair is actually the normal length now.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe you shaved some of it off and you lost a few layers, but now it's back.
Cool. Yes. So I want to jump right in with you and talk about your cabin build, and we're going to talk about fishing, hunting, sleeping, like just well-being as well, being there, family. The items you choose or your best item, then favorite memories. We're going to just cover some stuff, and I'm looking forward to have a good time with you here. But before we do, cover those fun stuff. I want to you completed your alone experience, right? And last night,
I don't know if it's ever complete actually. Once you started,
it just keeps going.
Even
like
after the tap out, the alone experience never ends once you start it. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a ride.
Yes, I actually like the way the direction you're going there. So
yeah.
But you left your plot of land, and so. But it's interesting. You're making me think now about that experience didn't end there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking more about that. So, but that was yesterday. It was very emotional, and a lot of people watching, and a lot of people very excited about your cabin. And I would like to dive into your cabin building choice and strategy, and how was that?
Well, first of all, you're gonna forgive me if I get emotional because last night was like living my Tapa all over again,
Right.
and so it's really fresh, and so I'm kind of edgy right now, and because it was extremely hard and difficult decision to make. So just forgive me if I do get emotional. Just give me a moment,
No
blur me
problem.
out or something.
No.
I don't like to cry, and I really certainly don't want to cry in front of millions of people. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Anyway, for me, it was a no-brainer. It wasn't even a strategy. It was just something I've done several times in the past. I've done it with my family. My father built his first log home, his second log home. I grew up with my father building homes. My husband builds homes, and so I'm efficient at it. Now, not quite as efficient with an axe and a saw, but I had my walls up in 16 days and my roof on in 18 days. And by day 21, I had my door on. It wasn't the door that I was going to have if I stayed there long term, but I was going to have a rotating door and everything like that. But I wanted to have it somewhat pretty much complete before I ended up tapping out. But yeah, no, it was a no-brainer, and it doesn't matter where I would have went. I would have built a log cabin. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you just kind of like what I'm hearing you saying, sort of like, I know how to do this, right? That's one of my strengths. And of course, absolutely, the winters come, and you know how a log cabin can, be good for a long winter. So it's kind of like a long-term strategy, I suspect, right?
Well, actually, it's a huge part of my strategy, actually, because one of the things about the name of the show is Alone, right? And it's named that. If it was a survival show, it'd be named Survivor or something like that. But it really is about being alone out there with yourself and being able to live with your thoughts and being able to live with everything that is going on in your head. And so in order to kind of keep away from that, I think being comfortable is really important. Because if you're comfortable, you can keep in a better state of mind. If you're out there miserable and you're freezing and you're starving, then it's going to be a lot easier to your thoughts start wandering to home. So for me, I wanted to be warm, and I wanted to stay there for 100+ days. Cool. And I knew that the only way for me to do that was to be warm and have a good, strong shelter. So, and I chose the large logs because then I wouldn't have to insulate a lot. If I would have done smaller logs, I would have had to do more insulating. I would have had to do more layers of, logs and all kinds of stuff. But this way it was slap it up really fast, do a little bit of chinking, and it was insulated. And my parents used to live in a home exactly like it, bigger, of course. And the logs were changed better, but no insulation at all. And it was just logs on top of logs with chinking in the middle. And the house stayed warm all the time, and it stayed cool in the summer.
Yeah. So, what I was going to ask, a lot of people online was like extremely impressed, with your strength. I mean, that was really, really noticeable, your strength, your ability, with using your axe, and feeding the logs. And I mean, it's just the sheer force and, and strength that you had to build that. It was impressive. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's I'm embarrassed and blushing, but no, my dad is a fence builder and a contractor, and he did all kinds of stuff. And I worked right alongside my dad my whole life, and so and I had to keep up. My dad was from dawn to dusk working, and then even at night he'd go inside the house and sharpen saws and stuff like that. And so I had to work right next to him, and I had to work like a man. And I mean, that's probably a non-feminist word to say or whatever, but literally I had to be able to keep up with my father. So, I had to be strong. And my nickname when I was a kid was Hercules.
Beautiful. And that was very clear in the show, that was sort of like, very clear in the show, like that strength of yours, right? Building a cabin. Not a lot of people, it doesn't matter if man or woman, whatever, it's just to build a cabin, you have to have, as you mentioned, you need to have grit to be able to say, I'm going to build this,
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, is it's not a simple thing. Those logs are heavy. Some of those were 6 inches in diameter across. And there was a few that was even, my base logs were like 10 inches. I mean, they were huge. So it's not an easy thing to do. And if you don't know how to do it, then it's definitely something that somebody shouldn't attempt to just go out there and build a shelter to live in. But like I said, I was building a home. I wasn't building a shelter. Because I was moving in. I wasn't out there surviving.
So and you know, of course, everyone when everyone thinks about a cabin, right? They're thinking about the caloric expenditure on that. And how did you, you know, would you recommend anyone to build a shelter like that, or a home like that, or a log cabin like that?
You know,
going to that show, you know,
there's only a few people that could actually do it and be okay. I had the luxury of having extra weight. I had the luxury of experience, and I also had the luxury of strength and you know, the proper tools and everything to be able to do it. Now, somebody who is smaller in stature, somebody that is doesn't have as much weight to lose, I wouldn't recommend it. You know, if they can build a shelter that's efficient enough to keep them warm and comfortable, then that's probably a better option. But for me, you know, I had all of that going for me, and I could easily build a shelter. I mean, a log cabin, and I could do it again and again and again. And it's yeah, I got a few blisters and everything like that, but I mean, these are working old hands. These aren't you know, foo-foo hands. But I'm used to the blisters, and my dad always said if I don't have a few blisters, I didn't work hard enough. So I was raised to work hard and work tough, and the weight is actually very useful. I mean, I don't like being overweight, but it comes in handy a lot because I could use my body weight to move things and to lift things, and I mean, it's science, you know.
Right.
But yeah, and then of course, like I had the luxury of losing a lot of weight. I could have easily lost 100 pounds on that show and still not have been pulled for weight loss. They said I was burning like 700 calories an hour, something like that. I was like, yeah.
You're building a cabin. So
but it wasn't. Taz, it wasn't because I was starving though. I was eating the entire time. I had a pot stewing all day long, every day, the entire time, completely full to the top, and I would eat the entire pot by the end of the day, and then I would start over again. It was constantly cooking on the stove, and so I was eating the whole time. I wasn't eating as many calories as I was burning, but that was kind of my point. I needed to lose a certain amount of weight to be able to be more athletic out there, and when it was time to hunt, I needed to have speed and agility.
Absolutely.
But I needed the extra weight to do the cabin build. So
yeah, you're right. You know, you're right. And so now that you're talking about food, and I want to switch to fishing and hunting. And did you explore a little bit of that, or your strategy was more like, you know, I want to get the home in order and then switch gears here? And did you do any hunting or fishing, and how much, or you know?
Okay, well, my initial strategy to go out there was to get a fish net going, get some snare lines going, and do some passive hunting. Also have my bow ready if something presented itself that I could hunt. I did do some tracking and some hunting and looking a little bit when I was looking for a location to build my shelter. There was three things that changed my mind on that strategy. Like I said, I was going to do passive hunting while building my shelter. But there was a couple of factors that changed that. As soon as I got there, there was food everywhere. The first day, I picked 5 gallons of cranberries.
I see.
It was ridiculous. I mean, there was cranberries just everywhere, and you know, the only thing that I had to compete with the cranberries was the animals and the weather. So I knew that I needed to get them all picked really fast. So I picked a whole bunch of them, and then I started drying them out and stringing them on wire and things like that so I could have them for long term. But I had enough food between the cranberries and all of the mushrooms and all of the different edible plants and everything out there that I literally had a stew that was just full of all kinds of different plant material. So because I had food and I was able to keep my belly full, I was getting enough energy to keep going. I was working 16 hours a day out there.
Right.
I was getting up as soon as it got light because you can't sleep in out there.
So
But
let's talk about that. Because sleeping is something that a lot of people don't talk about it, right? Like, how was your sleep pattern? Because talking about well-being too, right? Like, because
yeah,
you're surviving there, but you need to rest enough so next day you keep building your log cabin or hunting or whatever you're doing, right?
yeah,
How
yeah,
was your sense of well-being there, including sleeping and nature and.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. One of the things that my dad used to say to me when I was a kid is that if you can't sleep at night, you didn't work hard enough during the day.
There you go.
So
point.
my dad's point was you work yourself into exhaustion so you get a good night's sleep and you're ready to go the next day. My sister Olivia, that's my daughter.
Nice.
Anyway, so you work yourself into exhaustion so you can get a good night's sleep, and then you're ready to go the next morning. So, and that's what I did out there. Immediately, I started working, and by the end of the day, I was so exhausted that I was literally dragging my body into bed. And that's a good thing. Being tired was not a bad thing. Trust me, that was an extremely good thing because I was able to sleep very good at night. I didn't even have dreams. It was so crazy. I wasn't dreaming because I was so tired. And unfortunately, because of that, I wasn't doing a lot of filming inside of my shelter at night because I was going to bed and going to sleep. So yeah,
you did a good job. You did a good job on talking about the side of the shelter. Like there was a nice, good shot when you're on top of the shelter putting moss and you put a camera under, and I think that was very good work there with the camera on your end. I love that shot. All the things falling. You saw the episode last night, and you saw the shot. It was beautiful.
Yeah, no, actually, Taz, I haven't seen it yet.
What?
I haven't watched the show.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I don't know how to react to that.
Why would you not watch? Oh my God.
Let's go slow. You didn't watch any of the episodes?
No, I haven't watched any of them.
Oh, I could not do that. Like I would be like I would go crazy. So you're waiting till everything is done so for you to watch the whole thing, or you just kind of like let the big wave pass? So what's happening?
A little bit of the big wave passing and everything like that, but I want to watch it with family and friends, and so I want to have all my loved ones and family around me when I do it, and so I'm waiting for an opportunity to be able to do that, and I just want to binge watch it with people, and I haven't had an opportunity. I'm doing a lot of work this summer and gone a lot, and so yeah, I haven't been able to watch it, and
Yes.
I want to, I have intentions to, but it is kind of weird, kind of hearing about myself. And I'm not sure what they're talking about. I know what my experience was out there, so I kind of get an idea, but I don't know what they're seeing. So it's weird there. And the tap out last night was, unfortunately, I looked at some of the Facebook posts and was reading some of the things people were saying, and that was hard. Especially not knowing how my tap out went. I know how it was for me personally, but I don't know how it was shown on TV. So that was definitely hard and kind of made me want to watch, but I'm also glad I didn't.
I see. Yes.
I relived the whole entire tap out last night without even watching it. So yeah,
it's incredible. I want to, that's very interesting. And so you didn't watch, and you talked about your experience, right? So you have seen online people talking about the tap out and stuff, and so you know a little bit more or less what happened, but you didn't watch. So I want to ask you, some of your favorite moments out there, some of the hardest moments, and why did you tap out? But before you answer that, I want to give you a glimpse of what the production shared with the viewers, in which you build a cabin, and on that moment you finish that project, and you express sort of like, man, this is a big important project, and you're missing your family and you're worried about home. That was sort of like what this show shared. You're worried about home, so So does it resonate? And if it does or does not, then what you would kind of add to it?
Yeah. You know, like I said, I was going to be out there for 100 days plus if I could, and so I didn't do much else on the show. I didn't do. I did build a fish hook. I don't know if they showed that or not. I did test my fish hook in the water.
Nice.
I knew I was going to catch fish because where I was fishing, there was minnows. There wasn't big fish. But I wanted to test my ability to toss it out there and what stick I was going to put it on and everything.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, I don't know how much of that they showed, but I really didn't get to do all of the things that I wanted to do out there. I had so many plans of little projects that I was going to do, and hunting and all of that stuff. So I didn't get to do any of that. And you know, I was a little bit disappointed that I was hugely disappointed that I didn't get to do that. And so you know, when I was out there and I was building my cabin, that was the most important thing to me at the time, because I gave myself exactly 20 days to have my shelter completed, so then I can go hunting and fishing and focus completely solely on that, and then procure enough food to just hunker down for the rest of the time I was out there, and then have a bunch of little projects around, and of course firewood was going to be a huge thing. You know, that was going to take a lot of time just doing that every day. And so that was my original intention. So I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot. And so when it came to the time that things all happened, I was really angry. I think it was about day 17. I just had this, I heard my mom call out my name. She said, "Jodi, I need you." And in the middle of the daylight, broad day, and I was like, "Oh my, you know, what the heck?" And I was like, that was the weirdest thing that's ever happened. And you know, a lot of people might not understand intuition. A lot of people might not understand intuition, and they may not understand the connection to you know, to God or whatever, you know, people want to call it. But you know, I learned a long time ago. I was irrigating in my backfield with my son. He was 18 months old. He was, I think he was 18 months old. He was just walking, couldn't talk, you know, a few words, mom, dad, that was it. And I was irrigating in the back, behind my house, flood irrigating with, you know, a shovel and a dam and water flooding everything. And I had a pond in my front yard that I had drained. You know, he was right next to me, and I was irrigating and I was shoveling and you know, digging a hole and doing all this. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I heard a man's voice, and it said, "Where's Isaac?" And in that instant, I knew exactly where he was at, and I flew, literally, my feet didn't touch the ground, to the pond. And he was under the water. It had flooded. I had drained it previously, but it had flooded with the water that I was irrigating with. And he was under the water, and he was like flopping around under the water. But if I had ignored that voice, and if I had hesitated at all, he would have died. And I saved him just in time. And
so you have this connection with your intuition from your life, right? And the show, I want to add that, sorry, interrupting you, but I want to mention that the show the scene of you saying, like, I heard my mother calling my name. They did. Yes, they did, in which, I'm sorry about that. But you know, they didn't went in depth with that, you know, talk about your family and your son, but I'm following what you explained about intuition, and you had that there, right?
Yeah, the intuition. Well, while I was out there, I had the most intense connection with God and nature out there. It was incredible. You know, I literally lost myself out there, and I was able to connect with God and nature in a way that I've never been able to before. And it was just amazing. And I felt like God was walking right next to me the entire time. I had conversations with him every day. And it was really kind of hard with the camera there, because I was like trying not to talk out loud. I was like, oh, she's lost it, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I was, you know, having mental conversations with him all day long while I was out there, and I could feel his presence, you know? And so, and, you know, people might say that's nature or that, you know, whatever, but to me, it's God, you know? So, so when I heard my mom, call out, I immediately felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders, and it was almost unbearable to handle. And I started praying to God. I was like, what's wrong? You know, I need to know, please tell me that everything's okay. And I begged him, I said, let me know that everything's okay. Tell my family that I'm okay. Let everything be okay. And I begged him for 4 days. 4 days. I begged him. I said, please, God, make everything okay. Take this feeling away. Let me know that it's okay to stay. I wasn't missing I miss my family like a mom misses her kids and stuff like that, but not enough that I'm going to run crying home for, you know?
Right.
But when I had that intuitive feeling that something was wrong, it just consumed me. And it started to pull me home, and it was like a force that was pulling me, and I couldn't stop it. And the harder that I prayed to God to stop that feeling, the worse the feeling got, and the heavier it got.
Yeah. And this, in a nutshell, it's kind of, it's part of the alone experience, right?
Yeah.
This retuning connection with nature, with God. You can give the name, but in History Channel, it's not paying for me to say that, but yes, this is a part of the alone experience, and you can see one season after the other is this tuning yourself to God, to nature, to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, last night you after the tap out, they mentioned your mother and they mentioned your family, and that weight, we can see on your face, you can see there. I think they did a good job on that edit. But it didn't show sort of like after, they didn't show the after, like when you got back to camp, when you got in touch with your family. And I think a question that I have to you, like, was that intuition confirmed?
Absolutely. Let me give you a little bit of back history before alone, just to kind of get you up to what happened to the point that after I tapped out. When I found out that I was going on alone, my father had a heart attack like within the same couple of days.
Right.
And it was the heart attack was severe enough that his heart is in heart failure, and his body started shutting down immediately.
Right.
The doctor said that all they can do is make them comfortable from now on. So I was faced with the decision to leave my dying father and my mother, who doesn't get around very well, at home to take care of themselves. And of course, I had some family and things like that could help, but I was the main person doing it, and that responsibility was mostly mine. And I was not only doing like the, yard work and grocery shopping and, things like that, but I was also doing the medical caretaking. And so when I left, actually, I spoke to my parents about it. I was like, I can't go. And my dad he said, it'll break my heart if you give up your dreams in your life for me. He says, I'm going to die anyway, so you have to go. Wow. And I was like crying. I was like, I can't go. And they're like, you have to go. We'll be fine. We'll figure it out. And so I was really torn there because I felt like my responsibility was at home and to my family. I also felt like I had a responsibility to myself. This was an opportunity of a lifetime and a dream that I dreamed about for a very long time. And so I was torn between being selfish in myself and going, and my responsibility to my family. So out there, when I had that overwhelming intuition that I needed to go home, that something was wrong, I immediately felt that it was something with my father and my mom. And until I decided to tap out, that heavy weight that was pulling me home, that it was like that force that was dragging me back, didn't go away until I said I was going to tap. And when I said that out loud to myself and to the camera and stuff like that, it was gone. Immediately, it was like, I knew it was the right thing. So when I got back to camp and they finally gave me my phone, because they don't give us our phones the first day we get out, because they want to make sure we're mentally ready for that. But I'm like going, okay, guys, I need to call my parents. I need to make sure everything's okay. Give me my phone. Give them my phone. You know. And anyway, so when I finally got it, my mom was texting me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and she said that my dad's bladder shut down and was non-functioning because of his heart failure and other problems. And so she told me that your dad's bladder started working again. And I was like, well, Mom, that's impossible. That can't happen. And she goes, well, he has to go to the bathroom all the time. And when he stands up, stuff comes out around the catheter.
Right.
And I said, Mom, that is either a severe infection or he has a blockage. I said, when was the last time his catheter had been changed? And Mom goes, not since before you left. I was like, Mom, that's 10 weeks. 10 weeks. His catheter is supposed to be changed every 4 weeks.
Wow.
And that's 10 weeks. Mom, you got to get in the emergency room right now. And, like in a panic, and I asked the camp doctor, and he's like, yeah, she needs to go, or she needs to take him to the emergency room. And so she did. And the doctor said that my dad was septic and wouldn't have made it through the weekend if I hadn't tapped out when I did.
Wow,
and before I tapped out, I thought, well, I could, if I just do 10 more days, maybe I'll change my mind. I could do a few more projects and I get a little bit more camera time and things like that.
Right.
But then when I started thinking about that, I got this overwhelming feeling that it would be bad if I didn't do it when I did. And if I would have tapped out a day later, I would have been too late.
Yeah, and that's very interesting because, you had an intuition and you're doing this project. It's very easy for us to overlook our intuition, and mix that with like, it's a mind game that, my mind is playing, wanting me to leave, make it, sometimes you things like, that's a mind game that your mind is playing with yourself, trying to get you out of that challenging situation. But when you come to the camp and that intuition, it's proven to be like right.
Yeah.
I think
that was really hard in my tap out because I was so angry. I was so mad. I was like, there was absolutely no reason. I was mad. I was arguing with God. I was like, there was no reason for me to go home. I do not miss my family. I am not hungry. I am not in pain. I am, I am rocking out here. I have the most awesome shelter ever. There is no reason. Why do I have to go home? And I was so angry. And even when I tapped out, I was so angry and broken. It just broke my heart to do it because I knew I had it in me to go the distance. And, so then when I actually, spoke to my mom and got the text messages and we found out, about my father being ill, I was validated. I had my reason. And then I knew that I think it takes a lot of courage to be vulnerable and a lot of courage to be able to, realize when, that it's time. And to come to that, it was painful for me to tap out because I wasn't ready. And when I found out about my dad, it gave me reason to know that that it was the right thing, even though it was incredibly hard. And I still struggle with it. I don't regret it. I just regret not being able to finish.
Right. But it's you mentioned about having the courage. I think that it takes a lot of courage to follow your intuition too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It takes a lot of courage to follow your intuition because
the
intuition is this thing, is this energy, is this feeling, right?
Yeah.
You cannot point the finger exactly on what
it is. Yeah.
It's not rational. It's like this connection, right, between you and your family, and being out there. I think those connection and those feelings and those intuitions get even like a little more of a fine tune. And I'm glad you didn't overlook that intuition and that you were there to be able to, in a way, pretty directly saving your father's life.
Yeah, but it's when I was in the moment, and I'm sure that everybody that does this is like, oh, you're just being silly. Oh, you're dismissing your family, or making excuses in my head why I'm feeling that way. And but I couldn't ignore it. It was so overwhelming that I couldn't ignore it. And the more that I tried, the worse it got. And so all of the excuses that I was making for myself just wasn't working. It's like, oh, just work harder. You'll forget, or just go to bed early tonight. You'll forget, or do something else, go fishing or something, and you'll forget. But it never went away. And until I answered it, it was still there. But and at that point, I decided that I was being selfish by staying. And then the only reason I was staying was for myself. And that was no longer a good enough reason anymore. And I had to choose between myself and my selfishness and my family, and I made the right decision. So,
and if you allow me, I know, we took a nice dive, and I say a nice emotional dive, real, right? I like one of the quote that the Alone Production used, and one of the photos that they shared, like committed to being real, right? I like that a lot, and I think this moment that we had is like that commitment of being just real, But if you allow me, I would like to shift a little bit.
Can I say one thing before we do?
Absolutely.
I said that my mom said that my dad's catheter hadn't been changed in 10 weeks. And that was no fault of my mom's or anybody else's family. I just want to make that clear that it was an oversight by the doctors, because my mom took my dad into his doctor's appointment.
Right.
The doctor basically told my mom, there's nothing I can do for him anymore. All we can do is make him comfortable. Home health services will be in contact with you. I don't need to see him for a year. So my mom took him home and was like, oh, we don't have to go back to the doctor for a year. And then home services never contacted my mother because they were supposed to start coming into the home and changing his catheter for her.
Thank you for sharing that. And, thank you for sharing that. That's important. And I want to ask a quick question about that still. I was going to move to a different question, but I wanted to ask, is your father okay?
Yeah, he's declining, because he's dodged a few bullets since I've been home. We've had a few emergency rooms since I've been home, but it's I still have my dad, and I'm still able to spend time with him that I would not have if I would have stayed on alone. He wouldn't be here, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for every minute that I have with both my parents, because when they get this age, you don't know how much time you have left.
Okay, good. It's good to hear. And they have you, and you there. That's very, very important. And I have a different question now, switch just a little bit. Overall, just kind of stepping out and zooming out a little bit. Would you? I wrote down here. I'll make sure. Would you do this again? This alone experience again, and would you change anything in terms of strategy and tools? Because one thing is when we have an idea, a thought, and when we're there, we can put things to work, and then we're like, wait a minute. Or sometimes like, yeah, it kind of worked out. So would you do it again, and would you change anything?
Excuse my language, but hell yeah, I would do it again in a second. I had the time of my life out there. It was amazing. I came into myself, and it was incredible, and I would not change one thing. It doesn't matter if I was in a completely different climate. If I was in, the jungle, I would still make a cabin, but it would just be bamboo and smaller pieces.
Yes.
But because it's what I'm good at. I'm efficient at it, and it's a good solid structure, and it's difficult for animals to get into, and it keeps you warm, and it keeps you cool in the summer. So absolutely, I would use the exact same shelter and the tools I brought. Absolutely, 100% again. I would do the very same thing.
Beautiful. And you brought I'm sorry. You brought an axe, and it was different from anyone else. Did that work out well for you?
Oh, absolutely. It's okay. So let me clarify again. I am a fence builder's daughter.
Right.
So my dad would be very disappointed in me if I went out there and broke my axe or, didn't do a good job with my tools I was using, because I've been very proficient with them since I was small. And so picking my axe and my saw was extremely important part of my tools. And I had to make sure I had the best. So the S-Wing, and it was a solid metal handle. And I've broken a few axes in my life, axe handles. It just takes one slit for you to crack it, and then a few more whacks and your head goes flying. The head of the axe goes flying. So, and I knew that I'm capable of breaking an axe, and it was very real out there, because I'm building a cabin. I'm not just out there chopping limbs, I'm out there building a house. So I needed to have the best tool. And if I broke a handle out there, then I would have had to stop to make a new one, and then it would never be as efficient, and I would never be able to get my cabin done. So I wanted an axe that was that wouldn't break ever, one that could stay sharp for a long period of time, because I'm not always hitting my mark, and make chips and all that stuff. And then I also needed one that would be heavy enough in the head, but light enough that I could wield it all day without getting tired. And that axe was perfect. It had a long handle, it had a heavier head, and it was unbreakable. And it kept it stayed sharp the entire time. I only had to sharpen it like a couple of times. So it was the perfect axe. I would take it every time.
Cool. It's very nice. I mean, I think it's a good choice there. I took mine with a wooden handle, but I would consider that metal handle, because you don't have to think about it breaking. And I was thinking
there was a few things that I could have done to manipulate the handle. I could have sharpened the one edge of it and made a drawing knife out of it. I could have cut some notches in it and made it have like hooks and stuff like that, so I could do things. I could definitely manipulate my tools a little bit to make them better and have more things that I needed, but I still wouldn't change my choices.
No, beautiful. Yeah, that's great. And one thing that I want to mention, that's like every person like that, a lot of people are just thinking about one set of tools that is going to fit at all for everyone, right? That for me, for example, or one set of strategy, for example, based on my skills, like I would not build a cabin, because I don't have experience on that, and I think I'll not be very effective and efficient. So it's like I would not do that, but doesn't mean that is not a good strategy. It's based on your own skills, right? Like you have experience, a daughter of a fence builder, and they build cabins, so you know what you're doing, and clearly you know what you're doing because it looked beautiful on TV.
It was crooked.
Right. Well, yeah, but I think it was part of the charm.
If my dad saw it, he'd be like, "Why is it crooked?"
Right. But I have probably one of the last questions for us, because I want to apologize in advance, because this video I'm not going to be editing, so sometimes this is kind of the audience. If I'm cutting, if I'm jumping into what Jodi is saying, it's because I'm kind of thinking about the time, because we can talk here all day, about our experience. So it's all like live now, and it's unedited. So there's a lot of little quirky mistakes or things that, please, for the audience, just bear with us and just join the ride. So I have a question. I remember it froze a little bit, we are back. So can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I remember one moment I made a lot of we are allowed to bring a ferro rod and a striker, and I made like 3 different kind of strikers, because I was kind of like thinking which one I want to use. So even at the lodge, I was still like deciding it. And I saw a video of you creating a lot of things, and you're making a log cabin, and I thought, I made a chisel, and I was putting a handle, and I say, I think this chisel, because I made different version of it, I think would fit very well with Jodi's creativity. And I remember that you're looking for a fire striker, and it's like, I have the perfect one for you. And then I gave that to you, because also you had like some very interesting project that I thought like, this could be very perfect. Good. That was a nice exchange between both of us. And that's part of that, open heart alone experience. Do you have any chance to kind of use that, or did
Oh,
it come?
absolutely. It was so cool. It was the most cleverest idea. I saw some of the past participants manipulate their tools and everything like that, but I just didn't. And so when you gave that to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gold. And so and the reason I needed it is because when I was doing my 10 items video, I lost my striker. It fell in the monster. And so I had to get another one. And so thank goodness I got that from you. But it was so awesome. I used it so many times to do some whittling and some carving out. Sometimes some of the logs weren't fitting. And so I just used it. I would put it down and then just hit it a little bit with my axe. Nice. And it would chisel out little parts of, especially when I was making there's little stays that I was putting in between the logs around the fireplace. And they were small, and I needed something small to work with, and it was so perfect. And I was going to build a fishing pole. I don't know if you guys saw my fishing pole in my casting video, but I was going to make one just like it.
Yeah, and you should. Can you maybe for the audience, like I'll say that for myself. I would love to see a video of you building that fishing pole. Her fishing pole, Jodi's fishing pole. It's just a piece of art. So and the sound of it is great, and everything looks great. I have not seen that before, and in the future, if you take some time to build one of those, I think
you
have to see.
I wish I would have been thinking, because I actually have it taken apart right now, because I wanted to do a quick video of me assembling it, because I want to do a video of me making one later, but I was going to do a video of me assembling it, so I disassembled it, and it's not here. Yeah. I have the real part. I could go get it real fast and show you the gears.
Let's wrap it up.
Give me a second. Yeah.
And while she's gonna go to get her reel, rod and reel kind of part to show us, don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be talking with Luke Olsen soon, and subscribe and click the little bell there, and so we can continue this conversation here. So what do you have there? What do you have there for us? It's
completely hand carved wheel with gears on it.
So it's symmetric.
So yeah. This was actually just like a tree, like it was a pine tree, and this was just one of the smaller trees, and it was really soft. So I was able to win over. And I did it all with my Leatherman, with my 300. The way I was able to get this drilled out is I started it with the awl, and then I took my file of my 300 and just twisted it and twisted it and twisted it, and so it got all the way through. And it's perfectly round. And it actually, it has them with these gears right here. Right. I have another set of gears that they hook to that turns. And it actually turns like this.
What?
And then I have a reel on it that reels, and so it turns like this, and it reels up all the line. It's so perfect. But yeah, I'll do a video, and
please do make a video for us, because a lot of people seeing you building cabin, but I have seen all the videos of you like have you're very crafty and build things like this, like so beautiful, so well done.
Thank you. Well, I was raised that if you don't have something you need, you make it.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter what it is, or you fix it. If you break something, you fix it, because you don't have the money to go get another one. So
right. Yeah. So Jodi, thank you so much, for sharing, your story, sharing some personal things, and I hope you enjoyed. And just let's keep on watching along and enjoying the adventures that everyone is sharing. Can
I share a couple more things real fast?
Sure, absolutely.
Before we go, I know that we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I wanted to say about my cabin. The last night there, I owed it to myself to spend one night in it completely finished, and I got my door on, and I hunkered down for the night, got my fire going. My fire lasted till 3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And when I woke up the next morning, I was walking around in nothing but a t-shirt and my underwear, barefoot in my cabin, and it was toasty warm in there. It kept the heat and the warmth in there all night. So I was 100% certain that I would have been warm the whole winter. I could have walked around in a t-shirt the whole winter on my side of my cabin. It was perfect.
Yeah.
So I was super excited, and I knew I made the right choice by doing it that way and building it that way.
Yeah.
It would have even been warmer because I was still
Right.
moss, and I was going to reinforce the roof some more and everything like that. But yeah, that was really awesome that that turned out like that. And then you had asked me about hunting. And fishing a little bit, and I didn't really get to talk very much about that. I did see moose poop, bear poop.
Yep.
I don't know if they showed any of this or not. Rabbit poop. I had rabbits all over the place.
You had rabbits?
Yeah, I had rabbits.
Oh,
Yeah.
most people on the show so far have not seen any rabbits. So
Yep, I
it's
did.
pretty interesting.
And then of course I had a mink that was coming around, and I had grouse. And this is crazy, Taz. So I'm drying all my berries, and I want to get them all in like Christmas tree lines. You know, I was gonna hang them all over my cabin.
By the way, the show showed by your fireplace. They showed some of the berries. Again, if you're just stopping now and watching us now, so Jodi have not watched the show yet. That's crazy. But I'm giving a little bits and pieces for her now. So by the fireplace, there was like, I think it was maybe wire or something that you put the berries.
It was snare wire.
Yeah,
I stringed them like garland for a Christmas tree. I was gonna celebrate Christmas with cranberries all over a tree inside. Yeah, cool. But I was basically drying them. But I had so many berries. Like I said, I picked 5 gallons within the first couple of days, and I was still picking more every day. And I was like, these are gonna spoil if I don't do something. So I started stringing them on wire, and then I'm hanging them above my fire so they would dry. And then during the day, I would take all of as many berries as I could, and I would put them on my waterproof jacket and set them out in the sun to dry. Yeah. Well, there was a couple of times where I was leaving them out at night, and inadvertently, I knew I was doing it, but not on purpose. It was just because I was tired and didn't want to go get them. But I was feeding the birds, and I was feeding them.
Tweet them later.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was like, okay, well, I need to stop doing that because I'm noticing a depletion of my berries. So, and it only happened a couple of times, but I noticed a quick depletion. So I actually started, once I got my roof on, I started taking my coat inside and laying it out in front of my fireplace and letting the berries dry there. And I never got this on camera. I'm so upset. And I don't know if my game cam might have picked it up or not, but I had grouse coming in. They were landing in my doorway, and they were looking inside of my cabin going, where's those berries? Right. I was like, you little bugger, you just wait right there. I gotta get my camera. You know, my camera's outside, right? And I'm in my cabin. And so I'm like, well, and so it like flies away. So I run out, I get my camera. He's like in the tree, and I got my camera, and then I turn around and I go get my bow. And by the time I get out, he's gone. And it was like, okay, well, that was like your first mistake because you weren't ready when it got here. I see. You're juggling the camera. That's like the most important part of the show is you have to be filming everything. If you don't film it, it didn't happen. That's one of the rules. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you see Sasquatch or a grizzly bear out there, or a Martian. It didn't happen if it's not on camera, right? So I never got, and that happened to me 2 separate times where the grouse were coming right up to my cabin and looking in my cabin going, well, where's the food, And so I had the animals, and they were right there. I had 2 little mice that were visiting me every day and coming over and checking out, like where's the berries and everything like that. And then of course I had a mink that was coming up and going around my cabin every night. I could hear him. As a matter of fact, the first couple of nights I was there, I could hear him outside of my tarp walking around. And, yeah. And so, but like I said, I don't know if any of that got on camera. I don't think there was moose and bear on my island because the sign that I found was older. It was at least a couple weeks older, so I think they'd already passed on. But like I said, I had the grouse, I had the squirrels, I had squirrels everywhere. I actually did set up a couple snares, but they weren't strategically set. They were too close to my cabin. But it was just like, I'll just do this just in case.
Yeah, you never know. And I find that's like those, the grouse coming and eating your berries and coming just to your doorstep, really. I find that, like, sometimes that doesn't make the edit because they need to tell a story. There's an arc,
Yeah.
but those, I'm glad to have you here so you can share a little bit of those, because it's kind of like fun, but also heartwarming. It's like you
Yeah.
feel that you're like, of course, you're gonna eat the grouse later, but while you don't eat, it's kind of, there's something about it, that experience of like the animals close to you, right?
Yeah. Well,
it's kind of fun.
Well, I was gonna say, you asked me what was my best experience. I think that's what you said. What was my best? One of the neatest things that happened to me out there, obviously the hardest experience was tapping out,
right.
But one of the neatest experiences that I had out there was the utter and complete acceptance that I received out there by the animals. And it was so cool because it was like I became like part of the, out there. They weren't scared of me. They were coming right up to me. The mice were like coming up and sitting right next to me. Toss them a berry every once in a while. But I had these two crows that every single day they would circle over above, and I would talk to him. I'd be like, "Hey, friend," and I had a couple bald eagles that were coming. I had gray jays that were coming in all the time,
right.
And they were just hanging out. They weren't just like passing by. They were actually coming around. They were hanging out.
Right.
And it was actually, at one point I was like, I honestly think that I could spend the entire time out here and not kill a single animal, except for maybe fish if I get the opportunity to get fish. When I got the opportunity, because there was fish everywhere. I just didn't go out and get them yet. But when I got the opportunity, I would have got fish. But I actually thought, maybe I would just make pets out of those grouse. Even though it's against the rules. But I actually thought about not eating them just because they were so friendly and they could have been a companion. Yeah, they could have been a companion, and they were my friends out there while I was out there. I talked to them every day. I was, hey friends, and they were cool. So
if you would choose 3 words to sum up your adventure, what would that be?
Adventure of a lifetime. I think that was 4.
It's okay. Yes, adventure of a lifetime. Yeah, I would agree with that. An adventure of a lifetime, 100%. And thank you for sharing all that. And I look forward to go to Wyoming. Right? Is that where you live?
Yeah.
I look forward to visit you at some point. And
well, I was wondering if you're going to come out for the what is it, Luke and Kate and I, like a little gathering that we're gonna have like this summer.
Well, sign me up. Sign me up.
Please come. That would be so cool. Anne said she wants to come out too. So beautiful, I don't know if anybody else can make it, but it would be so cool if we can all do it together. That would be so cool.
Yeah,
I'll pick you up there for it. Kate said he'll put you all up. He's got this big, like, cool house. So
nice. And so people can reach out to you through your Facebook or Instagram.
Yep.
What's the name? The handle?
I don't know.
Like Rose.
Well, on Facebook, Jodi? It's Jodi Rose Alone, and Rose and Alone's one word because it wouldn't let me have 3. It only let me have one last name. I'm not very good at social media. I'm new to the whole concept. So I've had Facebook for a while, but never was. Beautiful. Yeah. So anyway, it's Jodi Rose Alone, and I'm not sure what the Instagram is, but I think it's like Jodi Rose 1 2 3 4 5.
Yeah. But I think if people put your name there, Rose, Jodi Rose Alone in search on the Instagram, I think they should see you with a beautiful bow and arrow. It's a beautiful picture.
Wasn't that picture awesome? Oh my gosh.
Awesome. It's amazing. And
I was like, that's good. Not me.
Yeah, it is you. So, looking forward to see you potentially in Wyoming. So I'll keep you in the loop, but I'll make time. I'll make time to hang with you.
I hope so. Are you going to Hawaii next January? For that little
I would go to Hawaii anytime.
I'm like, okay, all right. The rest of the year, I'm saving every penny and I'm going. Right. So that would be so cool. That's neat to be able to do that.
So I'm glad we had this conversation, and I hope you enjoyed. And I talk to you soon.
It was an honor, Taz. You are a true blessing to everybody that meets you, and you're a bright light in this world. So keep smiling, keep doing what you're doing. I think you're pretty awesome. So
Right. Thank you so much.
Who's going to interview you?
I don't know. I don't know yet. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah, I've seen those Instagram, where they like do one shot of themselves talking and then another shot of them talking back. You could do that, it'd be cool. But
that'd be funny. I could make something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, give me a list of answers I could interview. Questions I could interview you if you want me to. So.
Okay. I'll keep you in the loop. I'll let you know. Yes.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Have a wonderful day, and talk to you later.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Yes,
It's good to see you. Bye.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to the wild.